Yes.
Was it a good deal?
They're always good deals.
All right, better been a good candy.
How much are we making? 25 grand.
What does that mean?
Today we're at our offices hanging out. We've got, I don't know, half our people here. Half of them are sick. Half of them are still on Memorial Day weekend chilling. Good for them. And we've got Codie Sanchez coming in. She's going to go through our whole org chart. She wants to see all of our corporate structure. She wants to understand how are we looking at deals because she knows we're buying businesses as well. We're learning a lot from her, which is great. So today we're going to hang out with Codie Sanchez. Stay tuned. Hi, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thanks for having us. Cool office, huh?
Yeah, it's good. We've outgrown it, unfortunately.
No way.
This is one of 4 offices we have in Phoenix, but we've outgrown this one. How you doing?
My dad, Stan.
Very good.
Hey, Stan.
My pleasure, Stan Sanchez.
Great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We've got big conference room here. We've got finance. We've got HR here. We've got the lab, which is like tech. So building websites and doing all that kind of stuff is in here.
How many people are you having tech?
6. And then this is where real estate deals get done. Okay, so this entire team from here, about 8 tables deep, is both acquisition and disposition.
Was it a good deal?
They're always good deals.
All right, better been a good candy.
How much are we making? 25 grand.
What does that mean?
So we found a contract at, let's say 200. We sold it to somebody else for 225 without ever having to touch the house.
So basically you're just getting a deal finder's fee in so many words.
Yes.
So you're saying, I'm taking risk on in some degree because I'm buying this house. Technically, you're not even buying the house with cash. So you're basically saying, I found this house, they want to sell it for $200,000. I'm going to go find a buyer for $225,000, hopefully.
Yeah.
And hopefully maybe the labor takes me a while to find this deal and to close this deal. And that is the, sort of delta between 200K and 225.
Yeah, and what's great is that you'll have the contract with the seller you have 10-day inspection period. So I have an out for 10 days.
Yeah.
And I have 10 days to find my buyer. I have 0 risk.
Well,
Unless I go past, if I go past
the
my,
10 days.
yes, but what happens if I go past the 10 days? My buyer has now put in earnest money before my 10 days is up.
Yeah.
So if we breach contract, the seller gets that earnest money, I walk away. Still no risk.
What if you don't have a buyer yet? You wouldn't go into contract?
No, I would go into contract without a buyer, but I wouldn't go past my inspection period without a buyer.
Copy. Okay.
Yeah, I would cancel the contract on day 9 of the inspection period. I'd get all the documentation, and we'd walk away from the deal.
Right. I think like the 2 worst words in making money are passive income.
Yeah,
and
great.
people just look for complete passive income, and because of that, they miss out on generational wealth. And if you could just substitute a little bit of pain, you could get generational wealth. But most people, they don't want to do 47 phone calls to brokers. They don't want to look up the list of foreclosures.
And thank goodness they don't, because they make my life so easy. Like it makes our life so easy. I look at people, I'm like, thank you for not being consistent. Thank you for not picking up the phone and making 3 phone calls, because it makes all of our lives so easy.
Yeah. What is an MSA?
Member Success Advisor.
Got it.
I didn't have that originally, but I just felt like, let's add this as a bonus to continually improve that Cartier, like, iconic. I want this to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm walking into the Ritz-Carlton type of feel.
Yeah.
And so when somebody joins, I don't want them to go,
where's my login? What am I going to do? Where should I go?
What we do is we give them homework every Friday, and somebody calls and checks in on them for the first 60 days.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
What's interesting is that it's all under one roof. Mine's been so disjointed.
Well, we have
for so
3
long.
other buildings, so it is disjointed.
No, I mean like they're accretive.
Okay, Slater is a franchisee, and I want to have you talk to him.
Okay.
You are one of our franchisees, but you started out you were my friend on the TV show.
Never did any real estate in my life before this.
What was so funny, every day on set, he'd come up to me with a notepad. So how do I comp a property?
Looking at some of the questions that I asked him 6 months ago, it's just so funny to see how far you come.
Can you believe that 6 months ago, I'm like watching your mouth move with all this terminology. I'm like, dude, look at Slater. He'd come up to me on set, and I'd be like, bro, after like 100 questions, I'm a pretty patient guy. I go, can you please watch my YouTube channel?
Honestly, I'm embarrassed looking back at it now, man.
You shouldn't have, bro. You were such a go-getter, bro.
These guys, I mean, I wouldn't be anywhere without these guys.
Oh, come on, bro.
Oh,
you got the freaking work ethic.
Well,
Non-sponsored post.
One thing that always stuck with me and why I made the decision to do this is there was one day we were on set and Jamil and Pace were doing one of their houses, and the neighbor outside, a grandma doesn't speak a lick of English, and her granddaughter comes over and is like, hey, my grandma wanted to know what you guys are doing with the washer and dryer in that house, and without even hesitation, Pace would be like, oh, she wants the washer and dryer? Well, the guys bring it over right now. And that right there just showed me the type of people we are, and that's the people they were, and I was like, this is the type of business I wanted to be in. And here I am, 8 months later, buying our second franchise, and just wouldn't
this
change
is your
my world.
number 2.
Getting ready to buy the second one.
If I'm a real estate agent and I'm going to look at these houses, you could say, we could list it right now. Here are the comps. This is what it's probably publicly listed for. We're going to put it on the market. It's going to be hard to sell.
Yeah.
Option 1. Option 2, I'm going to buy your house right now for this amount. And are you cool with that?
Yep.
You could also say option 3, I'm going to buy your house for this amount, and I'm going to go try to sell it.
Yep.
And I'm going to split whatever the difference is between.
There's usually 5 options that you give. Okay, so you give, I'll list the property if it's in listable condition.
Right.
Agents that wholesale, there's a girl here locally, Monique Walker. She made $1.5 million last year just wholesaling, 3 times more than she made as an agent doing listings, because she understood the model is way faster, way more efficient, and she can avoid the whole on-market situation. So that's one. You can do listing. Second one is you can wholesale it to the boys. Third thing you can do is partner with them and go, hey, I'm partners with Slater and Jake. I'm going to buy this deal with them, and then they go off and they flip the house together, or they do whatever. Fourth option, if a seller has low equity or the seller wants too much money for their house, offer them terms. And so a lot of sellers getting that fourth option are like, wait, you're telling me I can get my number as long as I just give you the terms that you need? Same thing in business.
Yeah, to say, I'll split the difference with you 50-50.
Right.
Otherwise, you go do the work. You could do this exact same thing.
And they don't want to.
But you have access to my network, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. The fifth one is called innovation, where you partner with the seller and you flip the house with them. So as the agent, I can go into that situation and go, I'll partner with you on this deal. I'll bring my contractors, I'll bring construction costs. You don't make me buy the house.
Yeah.
I just want to be able to have control of it, and then we'll go sell it after I renovate it and we'll put it on the market.
That makes sense.
We did this thing on set last year where I said, everybody's getting into real estate. I don't care, no more excuses. And so we got people that got into sober living, bought their first duplex. Like everybody on set bought their first piece of real estate.
Everybody that jumped in is doing pretty well. So,
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's
it changed our
amazing.
lives.
Yeah, I think everybody I talk to in Hollywood also hates their job.
Oh yeah, it's
So
really
they're
hard.
always like, thing is, I'm gonna buy a laundromat. Like, I don't blame you.
Yeah, I don't blame them either.
I want to get into the Subto stuff. So
Let's do it.
that.
Let's head over to the office.
Yeah, that was super. What's that? That's kind of cool. Wait, that means people are texting.
Replying back.
them? Oh, replying back.
Yep.
Got it. So it doesn't have to be a first-time interaction. It could be bam, 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 bam.
Correct.
Interesting.
People watching what you're doing. It's impressive, and they're like, damn, why didn't I do that? Well, because you didn't have the heart to do it. Nobody sits down and tells Codie, go do this. She has a natural desire to go and do something, and then it manifests. These other people are trying to check boxes. It's like, if you're trying to check a box, you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose to somebody like me, and you're gonna lose to somebody like Codie, because it's not me that you're fighting against, it's my entire community that's helping us build this entire thing all together. They wanna be the Wizard of Oz. They wanna be the man behind the curtain.
Yeah.
If I knew this beforehand, when I was starting, I would know what the gold pot at the end of the rainbow would look like.
Yeah.
And I would know how to follow that rainbow better. But I felt like in my journey, I was like bumping and bruising myself through a hallway that was dark. And then I found myself to the end. I go, man, I wish I knew where all the turns were. And so I think learning this stuff is super helpful. So this is my corporate structure. The primary way that I do this is I have high-level operators that are my business partners. I own maybe 2 businesses entirely on my own. The way I've learned to do this is I find my polar opposite. I always find an operator that will focus on a core, and then my operator is my business partner. He owns the business with me, and then we have a COO, CFO, CEO underneath him. I'm really good at building culture. I'm amazing at building vision. I want to go out and find the opportunities, and I want to come in and manage maybe once every 2 weeks. And so I manage all my businesses with less than 90 minutes a week of my time. We actually had a point about a year ago. I was like, how are we having meetings about meetings? I told my partner, Codie, I said, you're gonna hear me say, that's not my job 10 times a week. And I just started saying, that's not my job. That's not my job. And that was really hard. Blue collar guy, came from being a contractor. My dad, growing up, so my dad's still a contractor, 65 years old. Here's what he taught me when I got into my 20s. I went to and lived in Korea for my mission for 2 years. I come home, I become a contractor, obviously by default, because that's what my dad is. And I go, Dad, I need to make more money. What do I do? What was his answer? Work harder.
A deed was transferred by looking at the county registrar, for instance, where it gets listed. And if they do find out, could they force could they take back the mortgage and say that you've done something that is not suited to the terms of the mortgage?
Yes, it's called the due on sale clause.
Right.
Okay, so the due on sale clause states that you sold the property through the transfer of the deed. We are going to demand that you pay us off because you sold the property 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever. Our attorney, in 10,000 Subto transactions that he's done nationwide, has seen 10 due on sale clause happen ever, and 0 of the houses have been lost to due on sale clause. I've never met anybody that's lost a house to due on sale clause. Ever, once, 0, zilch. There's 20,000 transactions that happen in my county every month. 300 of them are subject to. So it's like such a small portion of them. I mean, there's a lot, 10 a day are happening, but it's very small. It's kind of like a car. When you buy a car and you go get a loan, do you hold the title? No, the bank holds the title. That's called an agreement for sale.
Yeah, makes perfect
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
So I go to you and I go, hey, I want to buy your house and I just want to take over your mortgage. And you go, nope, I don't want to deed the property to you because I'm afraid of my risk. And I also think the bank is going to call it due. I go, okay, well, why don't I just do a lease with an option to buy, so a lease option. And my option price is the mortgage balance the day I execute my option. Think about that for a second. So all my payments that go to the thing pays down and amortizes, and let's say 10 years down the road, I decide to sell, refinance, whatever. The day I decide to execute my option, my purchase price is the balance of the mortgage.
And you put a clause in there that they can't refi.
Yeah, you put a lien against the property.
Yeah.
So when you do a lease option, you put a lien against the house.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways to do it without the deed transferring into your name, but I don't do any of those. I just transfer the deed to my name because I understand the risk. The risk is you could go do 10,000 of these and less than 10 of them are gonna even know about it. I don't care if they know. I did a YouTube video about this where I said, I will call the bank and I will tell the bank I bought the house subject to. There's not a department in the bank that even is in charge of this. And the risk is 10,000 houses get bought sub to, and so far I've never seen one actually go all the way through due on sale. And if the due on sale does happen, I just deed the property back and buy it on a lease option. Or I deed the property back and I buy it on an agreement for sale or land contract for deed, depending on what state you're in.
60 seconds to figure out how to buy a house with $0 down. Let's see if you can do it.
Okay, cool. So I've got a house. Seller lives in this house. Seller has two things. They have a mortgage, separate document, and they also have a deed. A deed is a receipt of ownership. Two completely separate documents. I, Pace, or maybe you watching this in the video, I would go to find a deal like this is I would call sellers that are on expired listings, people who have already tried to sell their house, but real estate agents failed to do so. We call this seller and we say, hey, looks like you tried to sell your house unsuccessfully. I'd love to just give you an offer of taking over the mortgage payments. Are you open to that? And I'd say 80% of the time, the answer is yes. Oh my gosh, I would love to do that. And the seller says, how does that work? I go, well, the mortgage stays in your name, you move out of the house, and the deed gets transferred to my name through a title company. And the title company issues insurance to make sure that all the paperwork was done and everything was done legally. I now have official ownership. Owner of that property is now gone. They are no longer the owner. I am, and I can go find a tenant to go move in this house and make those payments on my behalf. That's subject to. The best part about this, though, is I literally have never had my credit checked on any house I've ever bought, even my personal house, $3 million home. Commercial buildings we buy, all creative finance. No credit has ever been pulled. Don't have to have credentials, right? When you go and you get a mortgage at a company, what do they ask? Or a bank, they go, what's your W-2? What's your tax returns? What? Blah, 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 blah. Never have given any of that away. And then I also very frequently don't use any cash or any of my own cash, depending on it. I'd probably say 20% of the deals I do, no cash, and 80% of the deals I do require cash, but I use somebody else's.
Also, you don't need a real estate license. You
Nope.
have one.
I will never get a real estate license. The coolest thing too is that you don't just do this in single family, you can do it in RV parks, mobile home parks, multifamily. We have 1,500 doors in multifamily. I've never once pulled my credit, used credentials, or any of my own cash. So I have a seller named Mario. Mario owns a property, 43 units, and this is in Texas. Mario tries to sell the property, goes to a real estate agent, and he says, hey agent, put this on the market for $3 million. Well, agent couldn't sell the house, so after 6 months, Mario says, hey, you're fired. That becomes public data. Now I know that they tried to sell that house, and so somebody on my team calls Mario and says, hey Mario, would you be willing to sell this 43 unit apartment complex to us on seller finance? If we were willing to come up to your price of $3 million, Mario says, yes, I'd love to. How did I buy the deal? I bought the deal for $3 million. Cash flows from day one, $15,000 a month in net, by the way. $0 down, 4% interest with a 50-year note. Why did Mario give me a 50-year note? Well, because when I met him at the property, he had a 12-year-old son. His 12-year-old son was sitting there kind of cowering back, and he says, hey, don't mind my son, don't mind my son. And after a while, I realized he was selling the property because of his son. I didn't understand why. And this is finding the bunnies. I go to Mario and I said, hey, what's going on with your son? He goes, he hates this property. He's wanted dad to sell this property for 2 years. I go, what do you mean? For his 11-year-old birthday, he says, what I want for my birthday is dad to love me as much as he loves his 43 tenants. So Mario realizes through his disconnect with his son, I need to sell this property. Doesn't want to pay taxes. This is the great thing about seller finance.
Yep.
He mitigates a lot of the taxes up front. You only pay taxes on what you receive. And what I told Mario is I said, Mario, could you imagine far after you've passed away, your son at age 62 is receiving a monthly check from me to remind you of how much he loves you, even 20 years, 30 years after you've passed away. And he goes, how would we do that? And I go, give me a 50-year no, I'll make a payment to your son on his 62nd birthday.
That's amazing.
And that's how I structure that deal.
You still own that property?
Yeah, I own it, yeah. We bought the property next door to it too.
Well, you know, it's a funny thing in the Mario thing. It
Yeah.
goes back to my saying on time.
I know.
Mario's son just wanted some time. And his mom and dad, or his dad, didn't realize that you can't get it back.
Well, like what most men do, you know, we're wired to just be worker boys. And so what men do is they go, I'm gonna show my wife and my kids love by working, killing the deer and dragging it back to the cave. And they'll look at the deer and they'll say, Dad loves me because he brought the deer. And that's what's wired in us. But the reality is, it's like, no, man, I want you to hang out with me in the cave. That's what Mario lost sight of. His wife had to point that out to him. And he said, you're 54 years old now. You got a 12-year-old son. In 10 years, you're going to be 65 years old. Your son's going to be 22 and he won't want to have anything to do with you. He'll have a car and he'll want to go anywhere in that car except to our house. And that was like the... I don't work with agents a lot because an agent is never trained to understand the emotional situation that's going on with the seller. And so I teach everybody, you got to find the bunnies. It's never about the house. And if you can remember that every time you go to an appointment, it's never about the house. You will win this game. And that's why the story with Mario, nobody else could figure it out. I focused on the 12-year-old situation. Every single house we do, we're finding the bunnies. We're finding what's really going on. And we're alleviating that pain or that situation, and we're not even talking about the house. Very rarely will you ever hear me talk about, oh, the tile's outdated and the windows. I never do that. I'm so glad that was my first deal because it let me do 5,000 deals since then. Crazy.
And thus the story behind the book and the bunnies.
Yeah, behind the book and the bunnies and behind my whole team and the whole culture is like, where's the bunnies? Get used to having dogs on you when you do real estate.
Oh, that actually makes sense.
Oh yeah, I've been scratched, bit.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've had guns pulled on me, all sorts of stuff.
What?
I do a monthly challenge for free in my free Facebook group to people have never paid me anything.
Yeah.
And I show them how to take action.
Yeah.
And then what I do is I go, take the leads and bring them to my existing students.
Yeah.
So this lead came from this thing I call the elephant challenge where it's like, you know how
We do an owner's challenge too, but we should give the leads to our students.
there you
That's a
go.
good idea.
So what you do is you prop your students up as leaders.
Yeah.
You put them on a Discord channel so the people from the free group come in there and link in with them. I call it the elephant challenge because you have a big elephant and a baby elephant that like hold their tails with their trunks. And so I'm like, you're a baby elephant, hold the tails of the leader.
Yeah.
And so this lead came from a non-student that's like, I'm just going to take imperfect action.
Yeah.
And he didn't know what to do with it, so he brought it to Jose, who's one of my leaders. And then Jose is like, I'm not ready to own property yet,
Yeah.
but I want a $10,000 finder's fee.
Exactly.
So Jose's getting paid 10 grand selling the deal to me.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, we just like on these
But if
little
we
single family
scale-
deals, it's like
yeah.
10 grand a house.
Yeah, it's smart.
And what's great is like the way you structure it is I'm not actually paying for I am, but the way this deal will work is that I'm taking over 2.9% mortgage at 340. So I bought this house for 340. I had to look because in creative finance, you never look at what you buy it for. You're just like, oh, interest rate, payment. How much can I make from that payment by renting it out? Cool. That's all you care about. I'm bringing a private money lender to the table. They're paying for the assignment fee, the closing costs, and like $10,000 in cleanup and furniture.
Yeah.
And we'll rent this thing out, and I'll be into it no money out of pocket. And the assignment fee itself, I didn't have to pay for either.
So why are they doing that?
Who?
Oh, the private lender, just because that's
Oh,
gonna
it's
limit
like-
into the hole.
It's like you ever have like 20, 30 grand laying around. You're like, I wish I could get 10% on this.
Yeah.
So we got thousands, and then I have this is the crazy thing too, is I was like 2 years ago, I go, my students don't have enough private money lenders.
Yeah.
So I went and created another info product that goes and helps people source lines of credit.
Yeah.
And we've sourced $50 million in lines of credit in the last 12 months for them. So they take their lines of credit and then go deploy to my sub-2 students on deals like this.
Yeah, smart.
Oh my gosh. I'm just playing Monopoly right now. It's like, okay, I have to look up the numbers. Let's see here.
How much did you buy this house for?
I actually don't know.
Wait, what? Why?
Because I didn't buy the house, I bought the mortgage rate.
What do you mean by that exactly?
I found a seller that didn't want the house anymore, and I said, let me just take over your payments. Seller says, no problem. I've got a 2.9% rate. Here you go.
So how much do you pay for this house on a monthly basis, and how much can you rent it for?
I'm paying, the mortgage is $1,400, and I can rent it out for $2,100.
Wow. How long did it take you to do that?
1 day.
We're gonna break this down for you. 1 day? Like, what? How does that happen?
Somebody notices that the previous homeowner tried to sell the house with an agent.
Yep.
Agent got fired, that becomes an expired listing. You call the seller the same day it becomes expired. You tell the seller, we'll take over your payments. Seller says yes, you get a contract on it, and you close escrow the next day. So literally in 24 hours, this deal was, we found the deal, communicated with the seller, went to the title company, all within 24 hours closed escrow.
And then in 2 weeks, you take over the house.
Well, in 2 weeks, the tenant who's in here right now will move out of the house, and then I take over, like full control of the house.
Makes sense. Now, why would somebody do something like this? And who are these people?
Married couple, they bought the house back in 2021. They got a really great rate, 2.9%. They then decided they don't want to live here. They got a job transferred to Sierra Vista, which is about 4 hours south. And most homeowners don't want to be landlords. So they put the house on the market to sell and realized it's not selling. The market's soft because buyers obviously have to get an interest rate at 8-9% right now. The sellers just go, we don't want to make this 2 payments. We now have a payment down in Sierra Vista, and this payment, you're telling us you'll just take over our payment? Done. What's crazy is when you learn this business, you go, why would somebody do that? Then when you start making the calls to these homeowners, the homeowners go, you would do that? It's completely opposite of what you would think.
And this house is in what appears to be a new subdivision. What, like 2 years?
Yeah, less than 2 years. Yeah, it was built in 2021.
And in a booming part of town that's having a ton of growth. Used to be super rural.
Yep, new freeway right next to us, which is great.
Right, and it doesn't appear to be a trashy place. It
No.
looks like a nice house, nice
awesome.
neighborhood. Everybody's sort of well taken care of
Right.
here. So sometimes, at least when I was first talking to you, I was like, come on, but how awful are these houses? And you're like, sometimes, but sometimes absolutely not.
Yeah, it's either a distressed house or a distressed situation. And in this situation, it's a distressed situation, which is the seller saying, I don't want to make 2 payments anymore. Will you take that one off my plate?
Brilliant.
Seller's actually getting no money in their pocket. Sellers are saying, you, starting next week or starting tomorrow, you're in charge of the payments, the taxes, the insurance. We go, yes. So we get the deed, we get full ownership, mortgage stays in their name, which is awesome. And then what we'll do is this property will just be a regular rental. It's rented out for $2,100, and my payment on it, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, plus the HOA is about $1,380 a month.
That's perfect.
Hey there, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this incredible video featuring Codie Sanchez joining us here at the office. Now, here's something exciting I want to tell you. As you might know, I'm currently in Montana, completely off the grid with no reception. However, thanks to the magic of AI technology, my amazing video editing team managed to create this last part for you. So today, Codie had the chance to dive into our entire org chart, and she was genuinely curious about our corporate structure. Transparency is at the core of what we do, and having her here to learn and grow with us has been a true pleasure. We're all about acquiring businesses, and having Codie share her expertise with us has been incredibly valuable. Learning from her has been such a fantastic experience, and I can't wait to apply what we've learned. As my AI-assisted presence wraps up this video, remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any future collaborations with amazing individuals like Codie. Thanks for tuning in, and until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for greatness. Peace.